because we, we quality over quantity, and especially in this day and age in this economy, is what people are going to want. And you know, we need to get back here on track. So, um,
Speaking of back on track, what's your suggested reign?
suggested reign, Bruiser Brody. I would have loved to have been a promoter and had like a monster. You know what I mean? And just be like, give me 60 minutes. This guy's my champion. Because if you remember, like when you saw the Berserker,
Mm-hmm.
you saw big guys like Sid Vicious.
Yeah.
You see the Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
You see all those big guys. They all say we all owe a debt to Bruiser Brody. Because like when he came down the ring, he looked like a wild man coming out of the woods.
Yeah.
And he was full bore coming at you. Kind of like, remember like when ECW first launched it and they gave the title of the Big Show and how dominant he was? You do the same thing with Bruiser Brody. Could you imagine the kind of ratings you could get if you contract him for X amount of months, with the title, and with those types of matches, like, I just saw one with Mark Briscoe and Tommaso Ciampa, that violent match.
Oh yeah.
Like your world champion is my point, because he's believable. And you go back and you watch some of his matches, it's like, had it not been for his tragic death in Puerto Rico, there's no doubt in my mind Vince or somebody would have been knocking on his door because he was so believable. He'd been a very believable world champion.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my point where I was going with all that.
Brody Lee, so much, his character was so much off of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you go back and see how he would come to the ring, how he would fight.
Kind of like a big mountain man that's been like living in the trees or something like that. And he's like coming out of the woods to fight you. That's, kind of scary,
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. So I'm going to do my last of should have titles. I've got another one where I'm going to have to explain it in detail. So bear with me.
Yeah.
I want to finish up with our should haves, then take a quick promotional break, and then we'll come back and do our should nots.
All right.
So for my should have, you got to hear me out on this. I realize WCW had their biggest event on a Nitro, 40,000 people in Atlanta watching Goldberg beat Hogan.
Shouldn't have done it.
That's my case. So here, remember when Lex Luger beat Hulk Hogan or Hollywood Hogan on an episode of Nitro?
Yep.
I don't think that should have happened because it lasted 6 days, and then Hogan won it back, and they didn't do anything with Luger after that.
Who would you have put
never? What's that?
Who would you have put in his place?
So don't have Luger beat Hogan.
Okay.
Keep Hogan all the way up into Starrcade when Sting beats him. Don't have that crap finish where Hogan got his arm up.
Oh man, that was
Yeah,
I think that
was for hitting the Titanic. That's
I'm glad we're talking about this because I'm about to open up on this. That moment and how that payoff at Starrcade. Remember, I came over to your apartment. I had it on video. You and I watched it, and I remember the vibe afterwards. I was like, man, we just sat through I don't know how long watching this whole storyline play out for how long. And that's the payoff you give us. That's when I really started looking around at WWE at that time because I felt like, wow, you guys really botched that. Even watching it, the execution, it was just like something is not right.
I was like, was that a mistake?
Yeah.
How could you not have that finish clean? How could you not do that?
Yeah. So that's what started like the end for WCW for me.
Yeah. So here's where I'm going to rewrite the timeline. Have Sting get his big moment. Have him win clean over Hogan.
Yep.
Send the fans home happy. Send WCW's through the stratosphere. Now, go forward a little bit. You have Hall beat Sting with Nash's help. Nash is going to interfere. Hall finally gets a world championship. It replaces
Here's the thought. You let Sting have the title for 90 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a nice little peaceful period for like 90 days, and then
because Starrcade was in December.
Yep.
You had Sting actually lose it to Savage in April.
Mm-hmm.
And I say instead of Savage, have Hall be the one that beats him.
Yeah.
Let Hall hold it until Goldberg. Instead of doing Hollywood Hogan and Goldberg in Atlanta, have it as Hall. That way, a little bit more viable on TV. After that, after Goldberg has got his victory at Nitro over Hall, you're going to have that thing where Nash ended up doing the taser on him, and you can keep that part of history intact. Nash can do the taser. Have Hall give Nash the taser. He tases Goldberg. That's his revenge. That sets up the finger poke of doom. Yes, the finger poke of doom, very controversial. A lot of people hated it. But if you wrap all this around, you can have all this as the master plan of Hollywood Hogan to get the title back. That when Goldberg beat Hall, have Nash get the taser, finger poke of doom, you have Hogan get it from Nash. Then you can set up your Hollywood Hogan against Goldberg for a pay-per-view instead of giving it away on free TV. And here's the coup de grace. This puts Goldberg, instead of Flair getting that 1 month reign in 1999, this gets Goldberg a second title. Have him lose it against the person that gave him his greatest match, Diamond Dallas Page. That's where Page gets his first win. It's the payback.
Yeah. Plus, yeah. Because I can remember when I was watching WCW at that time, both on WWE and WCW, The Rock would say he's the people's champion. And then you heard on WCW, they'd say that DDP is the people's champion.
Mm-hmm.
Really? When I watched the two shows, it kind of felt like, to me, DDP felt more like the people's champion.
He was the working man's champ.
You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of felt like that. You know what I mean?
He was the more common man. The Rock was the over the top snooty character.
Yeah. But yeah, those are a lot of good points you made. I like those a lot. You definitely work those. I was thinking, I watched the matches between Santana and Valentine for the Intercontinental title.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, was that feud, do you think, necessary? Did it help Valentine's career? Because it seemed like, with his history with Piper, like it seemed like they were trying to elevate him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, because Santana had the title, and they had Valentine beat him for the title, and then Santana got it back, and then Santana lost it to Savage.
Correct.
So I'd like to read up more on the whole Valentine Santana thing.
Because Valentine went from that feud to teaming with Brutus Beefcake.
Maybe I could do some research on that and present it on a future episode. Have like a little segment. Discuss a certain, and they'll go back in the Wayback Machine.
and you bring up Valentine, and my first memories of Valentine really were of him with Beefcake as the Dream Team. That's where, when I first started watching, that's how I came to see him.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the Dream Team. They were there with their manager, Jimmy Valiant, Johnny Valiant, Jimmy Valiant, one of those Valiants.
Mhm.
And that's when I first saw the Bulldogs.
Yes.
And
Yes.
when the Bulldogs were around, the Heart Foundation weren't far away.
No.
And then when I went back and I started doing my own research and realizing that, wow, the Bulldogs and the Heart Foundation know each other very well. Like, very well. Like, and because I kept noticing in those matches, like it just seemed like they were much more hard hitting. The suplexes looked a lot more stiffer.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seemed like it was just, hey, this is like Tuesday or this is like Wednesday. Whereas I think some people would have been like, man, they're too stiff. You know? I mean, you have to, I would think in pro wrestling, much like, Jackass, in a sense of you're going to take a bump. You just got to get through your head. You're going to have to take it. You just have to, like, I guess, like, what kind of bump are you willing to take? What are you willing to do? That's the question, because insurance.
Insurance. Did they even have insurance? I'm not sure they did.
I think they're trying unionization, from what I understand, is more likely a possibility in AEW versus WWE.
Yes.
Because I know he may not be necessarily running the day-to-day operations, but Vince never liked unions at all.
No, he was a control freak.
Yep. But did we leave anything out?
I think we kind of covered everything. So let's go ahead and take a quick promotional break, and we will be back in just a short while with reigns that should not have happened.
Are you bald? Do you look like this guy? Well, attention baldies. You must exit the premises due to the intense heat. Your bald, shiny heads can cause heat damage due to the reflections on your heads from the absence of hair. Just kidding. But fear not. Let me introduce my product. Fabe no more? No. Dome no more. This magical product helps you and your baldness go right away. You see this bald guy here? Sad, depressed, wish he had hair? Too bad. It will stay like that. But for you, other baldies, wait for it. Yours will say the same too. Get a wig or something. This guy definitely needs one. I mean, look at that hairline. Nothing but flatness. The forest fires must have gotten at least 200 acres of his giant bald head and burned his hair off. But as I always say, where a hairline ends, confidence begins. Love you, bald people. Bald on.
All right, we're back. Hope everyone enjoyed that very informative promotional break. A lot of good products being offered right there. So we've been covering title reigns that should have happened but didn't. Maybe it's time now we look at reigns that happened that shouldn't have. And here's where I'm going to start off at. I thought it was going to work at the time. You got to look back. You got to look at history now. It didn't work. Back in 2020, January of 2020, TNA had a very up-and-coming star named Tessa Blanchard, Tully Blanchard's daughter. TNA actually put their world strap on Tessa Blanchard. Could it have done something? Possibly. But that title reign, lo and behold, 2 months later, COVID happened and pretty much all shows stopped. And even before COVID stopped all of that, Tessa Blanchard was having disputes with them backstage and was no showing live events. So I got to go with Tessa Blanchard winning the TNA title. That was a big mistake.
You know, I haven't really watched Tessa Blanchard work a lot. I understand that she's Tully Blanchard's daughter. And I think I've made my opinions on second generation or third generation, however many generation stars now that will borrow from their parents' legacy and try to build something out of it, and it not having the desired effect or the desired results come across as less than or diluted. But apparently, a lot of people were very high on Tessa Blanchard. I don't know what those feelings are now, but I can see like your argument in terms of that being probably maybe not the best course of action for TNA, because TNA's made a lot of questionable decisions, in my opinion, and I think at this point, I would not be surprised if they were to get absorbed into NXT at some point.
Yeah,
I mean that's just So yeah, I think yeah, it was very damaging to TNA to do that. Personally.
Yeah, and not so much because COVID stopping things, as we've all seen.
It's not because of her gender either. I want to make that clear too. I think just because of like all the circumstances surrounding it, it just ended up becoming like a really bad concoction for the brand.
It reminds me of how NWA went when WCW broke away from NWA and ended their affiliation with them. Mm-hmm. It seemed that kind of a moment for it, where all of a sudden their whole company, their whole title just seemed to be worthless. And it's not because of somebody leaving. It was just because of the way that they carried themselves forward.
Well, that's why, like, in the mainstream market of American pro wrestling in America, if you don't have a TV deal, your title's pretty much dead.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what happened to NWA. And they've been trying to resurrect it. And I'm sorry, I have not seen anything from NWA that has personally garnered my interest recently. I would like for that to change. But yeah, for example, their NWA world champion, who's that?
I can't even tell you at the moment.
Yeah.
It's out of sight, out of mind. They were doing good stuff with YouTube, but
which would have been unheard to say that 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you mean you don't know who the NWA world champion is, right?
I think they should. I think in TNA's, I know this is deviating from our topic at the moment, but I think the best thing NWA could have done is pair up with a streaming service that almost everybody has. I don't know, like maybe a Hulu. I know they were doing stuff on YouTube, but that was not YouTube TV. That was YouTube.
Well, didn't they have Fight TV, whatever it was, Fight TV? Like they were hoping that was going to catch on, but people were like, no. And now I hear NWA did some kind of partner deal with Roku. And I'm just like, Roku.
But it's not even Roku itself. It's a channel on Roku devices. Definitely a missed opportunity there. Since we were talking about title reigns that should not have happened, I wanted to get that out in the air about the Tessa Blanchard one. D, what do you think? What's the title reign that was a complete goose egg, a complete whiff in your mind?
I didn't understand the title reign of Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah. That whole Sergeant Slaughter bit, that was. I think they underestimated how educated the audience was becoming at the time. That,
Yeah, 'cause
hey, we're gonna turn him heel.
it felt very cartoonish. It felt like I was watching a really bad live action episode of G.I. Joe.
Well, I think what really hurt it the most wasn't Slaughter turning heel. I think it was the fact that they tried to repackage the Iron Sheik as a different character. I mean,
Yeah, I found that.
General Adnan or whatever he was.
I think I remember making the remark back when we were in grade school. I remember making the remark of saying of how personally insulted that I was that they would dare rename the Iron Sheik Colonel Mustafa.
Yeah.
Not his name.
That's
He is Iron Sheik.
And now he's going to pair up with an Iraqi.
He's not going to.
After they've been fighting, I mean,
I'm like, he would not rub shoulders with Sergeant Slaughter. He'd be like plotting to destroy him.
yeah. I mean, the best way they could have used him in that whole angle is to have him hate both Hogan and Slaughter and be like, I spit on you.
That's like the number one thing that number one title reign, that one along with the who was the actor that won the WCW title?
David Arquette.
Yeah, that business. You know, that one's obvious, okay?
Yeah.
We know that. We can all agree on that one, I would hope.
That was one of mine, was anything involving an authority or a celebrity figure winning the title. Yeah, that was one of mine.
But yeah, that one though, what I was just talking about there, yeah, that I just don't understand that whole. I understand that WWE was probably in a quagmire, but I would not have put Sergeant Slaughter in that. I would have put somebody else. Jake Snake.
I'm trying to remember. Flair came right after that, I think. But I mean, yeah, you had so many other opportunities.
Because yeah, I was not happy with how they portrayed, Iron Sheik as Colonel Mustafa. I thought it was a demotion. I thought it was a slap on my face, and that was another thing that got me to like, well, I'm going to start watching WCW now.
Yeah,
because
it was an insult.
Yes,
I knew who I was watching. I knew his name. Mm-hmm. It was the same guy from 2 years before. It's
like the only reason why I can think that they named him Colonel Mustafa was because Vince wanted to make money off of him.
I mean, they couldn't even have him defect to Iraq and make him the Iraqi Sheik. You had Nikolai Volkov all of a sudden not be Soviet anymore, and he was like, "No, I'm from Georgia or wherever it was, Lithuania."
Would not have worked for him being the Iraqi Sheik if everybody knows it's public knowledge if he's from Iran.
Yeah.
So that would not have worked.
No, but repackaging him as somebody else entirely, like he didn't exist, is even worse.
Yes. So that was my that was my pick for that.
Right. I'm gonna follow up my Tessa Blanchard one. This one almost worked, only because of Chris Jericho. I don't mean to be trying to like target women here, but when China won the Intercontinental title, the only thing that made it watchable was the fact that Chris Jericho was feuding with her about it, like they were dual champs at the same time, and Jericho being his typical over-the-top self. I'm not a fan of trying to make the titles intergender. I think it's a missed opportunity for having good storylines to keep everything separate. And it's not because I don't think that the women are up to snuff against the men, but I think for storyline purposes, there's only so far you can go of an intergender match before you've run that horse into the ground. And if I'm wrong, tell me. I'm open on this.
Yeah, I see that's those are difficult waters to navigate.
Yeah, they are.
If you have a 330-pound person going up against a 130-pound person,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
For the world heavyweight title or whatever.
there might be some issues you may need to consider, because all that pounds of pressure and, just things can happen is all I'm saying.
But we also need to keep the facade up that it's a sport with some sort of control mechanisms in it.
Yes.
Why do you have Rey Mysterio Jr. challenging for world heavyweight titles when, he's 5'4", 5'3", and 160 pounds? Where do you establish the kayfabe markers at?
I hear what you're saying.
Kayfabe.
I hear what you're saying. Because some of the guys coming up now, I'm like, man, you look like you just out of high school.
Yeah, some of them are.
Like, I'm just like, man, dude, I don't know. Like, I guess because that's a parent in me, I would be like, look, I'm a little concerned. I don't think they should be stepping in the ring with this guy, because this guy, I mean, look at this guy compared to this guy,
Yeah. And then they have to make it look like a believable match.
Yeah.
I mean, boxing, a lot of this comes from boxing. And if anyone knows boxing, you know boxing. You know more boxing than I'll ever know. And you have different weight classes, and you have people that establish themselves as the top of that chain, like a Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard's not going to be facing a Mike Tyson because they're different weight classes.
Yeah,
no, it's not going to delineate Sugar Ray's history, and he's going to still be where he was at.
Yeah. Granted, this would probably be for another podcast, but folks, if you really want to watch some classic boxing, I encourage you to look up any kind of boxing matches in the middleweight division during the 1980s, particularly by fighters like Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, or Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran. All those guys, you're going to see some classic boxing. But that's for another show. Let's get back to wrestling. I'm thinking that as far as like ones that shouldn't have happened, or ones that should have happened, I was always wondering like what the whole deal was, because this is piggybacking what we were talking about, China. What happened with Hardcore Holly? Because he was in that same running for that title, and it just seemed like WWE could not make up its mind. Do we want to give it to Jericho? Do we want to give it to China? Or do we want to give it to Bob Holly because he's been the loyal soldier and he's been through hell? Because I remember that was the dilemma, because they, for a while, like Vince and the writers were having debates, like very heated debates about who should get the title. And I guess like Vince, one, they got freaking tired of all the debating and just like made them come to a decision. But from what I understand, they were all like really torn while that whole feud was playing out up until the payoff. Who was going to actually get the payoff?
From what I remember, and this is just going off of secondhand accounts here, I think some of what played into that was Hardcore Holly was known for fighting stiff.
Yeah.
He was actually really legitimately hitting people in the ring. Yeah. And I think it was creating pushback for people wanting to be involved in programs with him, that they didn't want to work in a program with him because of how stiff he was.
Yeah.
I think that's part of what played into that.
Yeah, probably. No, probably some politicking, no doubt.
Yep, definitely. I'm going to go ahead. I've got some, since I already said authority figures and celebrities, I've got two left. And I'm going to go with, this one's going to be an obvious one. This is a championship reign that should never have happened. There was a vacated world title in July 2007 for the big gold, the world title. And they ended up giving it to the Great Khali. I don't know. That was painful to watch. So Great Khali held it from July of 2007 until September. He ended up winning it in a vacated tournament. He dropped it in September to Batista. Couldn't we have just done Batista to begin with and let him run with it? I mean, why did you make me watch the Great Khali as a main eventer? Why? Oh my gosh,
it was pretty rough, huh? Didn't he have like one move?
I think him walking to the ring was his move.
You know what?
Labored with his arms swinging.
I'm gonna get a knock on my door one day, but it's gonna sound like a tree limb, and he's gonna bust down my front door, and that music's gonna hit, and his little man with him, and I'm gonna be trying to reach you on a speed dial, and when you pick up, all you're gonna hear is my ass getting picked up in the air and slammed on the floor.
Hey, he apparently does great stuff outside of the ring. He's a police officer in India, and apparently he's a great role model and everything else. But yeah, that was a title reign that should not have happened.
I would have liked them to see them do more with
Jinder.
Yes, with that title reign.
Jinder Mahal, yeah. I mean, he was more believable. He had more of a look, more of the talk.
Yeah.
Basically all the stuff Khali didn't have.
Yeah. Maybe Jinder Mahal was the guy they should have went with instead of Khali.
Could be. But at the same time, in a tournament for a vacated title, if you're just going to drop it 4 months later to Batista, why don't you just have Batista win it back then and carry it forward?
Or you could have had that tournament where you could see the development of Jinder Mahal as like that dark horse in the tournament.
Yeah.
And that's how you kind of build a mini storyline out of this big storyline. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you could do that. So
I think Jinder back then was still part of the 3-man band with Heath Slater and
that gives him
McIntyre.
That gives him an excuse to ditch him. I mean,
yeah. To date, Heath Slater, the only one to not hold the WWE title. Dang it. He had so much potential. He had kids.
I know, we'll forget that.
Him and Rhino.
I don't care about your kids. I'm like, there you go, Brock. Hit him with that redneck asshole thing. Like, yeah, yep. We all know what you are.
Who you got? What title reign was an abomination? Something that should not have happened.
Well, I'm going to go back and I'm probably going to upset some wrestlers out of the Dallas area. But a long time ago, there was this promotion that came out of Dallas called World Class Championship Wrestling. Its promoter was a gentleman by the name of Fritz Von Erich. You may have heard of the Von Erich family. He took it himself to have his own title, the American heavyweight title. And he won that said title in the most Texas way possible. I'm going to do it in Texas Stadium, where the Dallas Cowboys play. And I'm going to wrestle King Kong Bundy in a Falls Count Anywhere in Texas Stadium, full of nothing but Dallas Texans. And then after winning the American title, Fritz Von Erich, who looked like he was 70 years old, says, now this is called the World Class Championship Wrestling World title. It's like, really? title reigns that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
What I think should have happened, what could have happened, the right way to do it. When Kerry Von Erich won the NWA title from Flair, that's when you make the WCCW title. Flair gets his NWA belt back. Everybody's happy. The split can happen. Because back then, WCCW was a part of the NWA.
Correct. As a territory.
Yep. That's how you make that break. Everybody's happy.
I got you.
Because that was the thing. That was the reason why they had Flair drop the title to Kerry in Dallas. Because Fritz was not going to have Kerry lose in Dallas.
No.
It just wasn't going to happen. So that's why they had to book it that way. So yeah, that was one I thought that shouldn't have happened. I thought that whole idea was just dumb.
Noted. My last one. I'm going to take us back to the Attitude Era, 1997. Your current tag team champs. This is a period when they were just slapping people together that were both headliners and them saying, all right, you're going to be a tag team for a while because, well,
WWE or
WWE. Yep. Okay. WWE or WWF still at the time. So in 1997, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Dude Love were world tag team champs. I didn't really remember that. I had to go back and read up on it.
Yeah, they were.
I remember Rock and Sock Connection, but so Dude Love and Austin were the champs, and then Austin ended up getting his neck injury.
Yeah.
And they had to vacate those titles. I didn't realize that he had the tag championship when he had to vacate it.
Was that when the Rock and Sock Connection happened?
No, Rock and Sock happened not long after, but them having to vacate those tag titles led to a 4-way elimination championship. They ended up having a 4-way elimination championship. It was Legion of Doom, the Headbangers, the Godwins, and I forget the other team. It might have been the Hardy Boys or something like that. You had the Headbangers win that tournament. The Headbangers. And then a short while later, they lost it to the Godwins, who held it for like 24 hours or 6 days. I don't remember how long. They dropped it to LOD. So you had two throwaway championship reigns between Headbangers and the Godwins just to put it on LOD.
Yeah, I didn't really think I was never really got on board with the whole Headbangers train. Just wasn't. Just wasn't a fan. Just did not hit.
The Headbangers were as insulting to people that followed heavy metal as I'm sure.
I mean,
any like other like Godwins were to country folk or
The Headbangers. Let's just put it this way: the Headbangers to me were like the demon from Kiss, Van Hammer, Man Mountain Rock.
Yeah.
Who was the other guy?
Oh, there have been so many.
But you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
It's insulting. It's like Disneyifying wrestling. I hate it. I loathe it. I don't care how much controversy that sounds when I make that statement, but I'm sorry. I have just never been a fan of the Headbangers.
Plus, if they were supposed to be heavy metal, they were anything but representative of that genre of music. Yeah. I mean, nose rings with chains, plaid kilts, black t-shirts, and then like some poor eyeshadow. I'm like, what?
Who made the gimmick really made it work and made it sell, and talking about people that should have gotten a push that didn't get a push.
Who's that?
Gangrel.
Oh, amen.
Dude, that fucking entrance.
Oh,
that entrance There is so much you could have done with that character. I do not understand for the life of me why he was never Intercontinental Champion.
That entrance is up there with Undertaker's entrance. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm saying it. I'm getting it out there. That was like the next iteration after you had Taker in the early 90s with his entrance, how it gave people goosebumps when Gangrel came out with that, flanked by Edge and Christian as his brood. I mean, holy crap.
What if here's a thought. What if when you introduce a new faction in AEW, you have, he's known as Malachi Black in AEW?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have him and his wife.
Zelina Vega, whatever she'll be called at the time, yeah.
Yeah. They're together. Have Buddy Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the Blackheart Leo Rush with him.
Oh, interesting.
And then you have Gangrel as the wise man type.
Yeah.
Like a managerial type of role.
Okay.
And that's like the new Black.
House of Black, yeah.
New House of Black or whatever, you know? You just kind of like book all like the gothy people. And hey, you reintroduce Abaddon into that faction.
Abaddon and Leo Rush's characters play off of each other very well. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Just some ideas, Tony, if you're listening.
The two of them are almost like the demon dogs in Ghostbusters, flanking on each side.
Yeah, I mean, just some ideas that they could do. Where are we at on this thing?
I've shot my load on who should not have had a title. Is there anyone else that you have? Anyone deep in the confines of being?
I'll say like right now, I'll be like, no, I can't think of anybody. But as soon as we stop recording, I'll be like, think of it, you know. I'm like, man, I could have really like cut a promo on this, and then I'll like, you know.
Yeah, you know, I'm kind of surprised you didn't bring up any Magnum TA.
Yeah, but that was also his stuff was like he had like an accident. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like a legit like auto accident, and that's kind of like saying,
kind of the what if it didn't happen.
If he wouldn't have had the accident, he would have been world champion without a doubt.
Yeah,
but he had the accident. I'm talking about guys that didn't have some kind of accident.
Yeah.
For some way or another, weren't booked maybe as they should have been, in my opinion. So, like another thing I'm thinking of is why didn't the Midnight Express ever get a run in the WWE?
Why didn't Kurt Hennig ever win a world title outside of AWA?
Yep. So why didn't Kurt Hennig become WCW World Champion?
Yep.
So yeah, that's it. Those are my thoughts. I would have made him WCW champion. I guess that's mine.
He would have been a good compliment at the time for Bret Hart being the WWF champion.
Yeah. So,
just like you had Flair versus Hogan in the day, you could have had Hennig and Hart.
Yep. And you could have ramped that up, especially for the world title.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, because of how they feuded over the Intercontinental, you could have had a whole angle with that. Maybe have them traded off.
Yep.
So, anyway, but those are what it could have, should haves.
Absolutely.
We are going to try to put these out, folks, whenever we kind of get together. They'll be a little sporadic.
They will be unfiltered, 4-letter words and all.
Yes. And if you have any suggestions, bitches, gripes, and complaints, you guys can find me on Instagram or Blue Sky at Squid Adrift. However, if you'd like to contact us through our Substack, that would be antwackystudios.substack.com. We're on Apple and Spotify podcasts. What else?
Of course, since this falls under the Ant Wacky umbrella, antwackystudios@gmail.com is the master email. Feel free to give any suggestions or feedback at that. We'll have this up on YouTube and some other services. Anything you want to add to it, by all means, lay into it. If you got to lay into it, so if you want to back this up on something, back us up.
Anyway, that's all I got. You guys stay safe out there, and we'll be around soon.
With more controversy, I'm sure.